I'm here today for the Welsh Connection with bass player Colin Gibson, who has played with so many bands and on so many records. It's going to be very difficult to fit them all in, but we're going to do our very best. Hi, Colin.
Hiya.
Thanks very much for doing this.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, so originally you are from the great city of Newcastle.
Correct.
And let's start right at the beginning. In your home, do you have many memories of music being around the house? Do you recall being influenced as a youngster very much by what you heard?
Oh, well, definitely, yes. I mean, I had a brother and sister 10 and 11 years older than me, so I was getting all the rock and roll when I was tiny, you know. So my first real recollections of actual rock and roll were Little Richard booming up from the people next door, the girl next door who was about the same age as my brother and sister, and my mother hating it, which made me instantly like it.
Okay, and when did you start getting interested in records? Can you remember the first record you bought?
The first record I actually bought was Singing the Blues. Now, I wanted Tommy Steele, but when I got to the record shop, they only had Guy Mitchell. So I got that instead, but I was never very happy with it. And that was my first record I ever bought. But the first record I bought, which I was seriously interested in because I never heard anything like it before, was £2,000 B by The Ventures.
Okay, is that a kind of twangy record?
No, it's a fuzz box. It's the first use of a fuzz box, really. First use of heavy distortion on a guitar.
Oh, right. And I remember you once telling me that you became a Shadows fan and you quite like Jet Harris.
Absolutely. Well, we were all Shadows fans, and when I first started playing, we were doing Shadows stuff, you know. But as far as Shadows were concerned, the coolest guy in the band was Jet Harris, and for obvious reasons. I mean, you just have to see photographs, you know. The other ones look like dorks, really, and he's like Mr. Cool. I played jazz on a Saturday,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Did that make you want to play the bass guitar?
Well, partially, but it was actually hearing Jet Harris's first solo record, which was theme from Man with the Golden Arm, and it was just Jet Harris's first after he left the Shadows, and it's all played on a Fender 6, which is basically it's somewhere between a bass and a guitar, and there's one over there actually.
I've never heard of it. A Fender 6?
A Fender 6, yeah. It's like a 6-string bass, but it's just basically one octave below a guitar, and this record is played on that, and it's frighteningly good. It's a great tune in any case, you know. It's Elmer Bernstein wrote it for the film. 1954, I think the film came out, with Frank Sinatra playing a junkie drummer.
Oh,
Great film.
And of course, he went on to have hits with Tony Meehan, with Diamonds and Scarlett O'Hara, didn't he?
Absolutely, and I love those too. I love Diamonds. I've done a couple of versions of it myself, you know. One with Jack Pound, which you might play later, and another one with another bass player friend of mine. I love that tune. It's great.
So, what was the first instrument that you owned?
It was a bass. It was a Burns Trisonic, and it was a short-scale bass with a mini jack plug, which caused no end of problems, because if you bust your lead on a gig, you couldn't borrow anybody else's.
Oh, right.
You'd had it, really. It was pretty dumb, but it was a bass. My brother bought it for me, you know, and it must have cost him like a couple of weeks' wages, really.
What year was that?
About 30 quid, I think it was. That would have been in early 66, I suppose. Maybe the end of 65.
Did it take you long to get playing with other people?
No, not really. I was playing with Johnny Turnbull, who was my childhood friend. You know, that's the person I've known longest in my life, I think. We met at primary school, and we formed a band called the Primitives. And like I said, we used to do shadow stuff. And you know, we just did it the normal way everyone did in those days, which is just to listen to the record and try and copy it. No musical knowledge whatsoever, you know, absolutely none.
So you were self-taught at the beginning?
Yeah, completely, yeah.
Along with Johnny Turnbull, who else was in the band where you first started gigging?
Well, you wouldn't know any of the names. There were local guys, but we were originally, like I said, Shadows. We do a couple of Beatles numbers, I think, and stuff like that, you know. But then we decided to advertise for a singer, and we got this guy called Fuzz Foster, who turned up at the drummer's house one night for an audition. And he was 14, going on 28. He was like, you know, 6 foot. He had a load of blues albums under his arm, and a great voice, and he played harmonica as well. I mean, and from then on we became a really dirty blues band.
So how many gigs a week did you get up to playing with that lineup?
Oh, with the Primitives, who later became the Primitive Sect, I don't know, 2 or 3, I suppose. Yeah.
And then did you go on to a band called The Chosen Few? Is that right?
That's right, yeah. I was invited by Mick Gallagher, who'd seen me with the Primitive Sect, and that's when Alan Hull had left the band, and Bumper Brown, the bass player, and they decided to carry on, and they were recruiting new members, and I got the call for bass, and later the newer guitarist left, and I suggested Johnny Turnbull, so he joined as well. So that was pretty much the genesis of Skip Biffity, along with the drummer Tommy Jackman.
And was Graham Bell in the band at that time?
No, he wasn't. We had 2 singers, Ernie Bell and Rod Hull. Rod Hull left, and then I think Graham Bell turned up from London, and he somehow inveigled his way in, and he became the singer. You know, and that was still technically the Chosen Few, but then we changed that. We started writing a few things immediately, and then changed our name to Skip Biffity.
So you started writing your own songs around that
Yes.
that time. What's this, about 1967?
66.
We're still in 66.
Yeah, the end of 66.
Okay, and then you changed your name to Skip Biffity.
Yeah.
A name I remember from perusing the Melody Maker gig page from my home at the time. So, how many gigs a week were you doing then with that line?
With the early Skip Biffity, you mean, in Newcastle?
Yeah.
Newcastle, I mean, sorry.
Newcastle.
Well, as many as we could get. Where our manager owned the club that we virtually lived in. So, yeah, we were going out doing quite a few gigs. Basically just took over the Chosen Few's gigs, you know.
Okay.
We're doing that 2 or 3 a week, I suppose.
And then you managed to secure some gigs in London.
Yeah, well, Graham Bell had connections in London. He'd just come back to Newcastle for a while. But he'd been doing his own band in London, and you know, he's a bit more seasoned than us as regards the London scene. So he had a few connections, and yeah, we just started to get ambitious, and we managed to get Don Arden interested, who wanted to sign us up, and we kind of got pretty nearly immediately got a residency at the Marquee in Wardour Street, which we played every Thursday.
So your arrangement with Don Arden came before your recording contract?
Well, no, that was the recording contract, I suppose. I mean, it was all blends into one, really. I suppose he got us to deal with RCA, yeah.
With RCA.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you went on to release 3 singles with that band, yeah?
Yeah, and an album.
Can you remember where you recorded those?
Where?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one was at IBC Studios in Portland Place. That was On Love.
Mm-hmm.
What were the other 2? Happy Land and I think we did Happy Land at Decca Studios in West Hampstead. And what was the other one?
Man in Black.
Man in Black. I don't remember which studio we did that in.
That was produced by Steve Marriott and Rory Lane.
That's right, yeah.
Which were also artists of Don Arden.
They had been, yeah. They were the reason we befriended them because we soon realised that Don Arden was a fucking idiot, you know. And they were just kind of giving us the lowdown on how true that was. And we just became good friends, and they offered to produce that single.
Okay, so we're going to hear that now. Skip Bifferty with Man in Black.
To say you wear many colors, have yellow hair, but the man at the back, all dressed in black, started to say.
That was Man in Black by Skip Bifferty. So you did some artwork around this time, Colin. Had you been taught at all, or did it something you developed yourself?
I was taught at school, and I would have been destined for art college had I not decided to run away with the circus. So I was already doing that, really.
A lot of successful musicians came through art school,
Indeed, they
especially
did, yes.
in London. Yeah, it was an opportunity to meet sort of like-minded people, I suppose.
Yep.
With Skip Bifferty, you recorded an album, and you also did some Top Gear shows for John Peel.
Oh yeah, we did quite a few actually. Yeah.
Are they? Do they tracks from those ever surface with the John Peel?
They
things?
definitely did. Yeah, they're actually on. There's a there's a CD called The Story of Skip Biffity, which is a double, which has the original album and then also the John Peel sessions.
Excellent, excellent. So you had started to record another album, or work on a follow-up album, but things deteriorated a little bit with Don Arden, and there's a well-publicised story, which we probably won't detail too much here, about you having to escape to the Isle of Wight.
Yes.
In order to avoid the consequences of his displeasure.
Yes.
And how long did you manage to hide away there for?
I think we were only there for about a month. It felt like about a year, but it was about a month. And we eventually got rescued by Graham Bell's dad, who drove down and took us all back to Newcastle, where we went back for again for about 6 weeks or something.
But you by this point decided you were finished with Don Arden then?
Oh, very definitely, yeah. Well, we were finished with him. He wasn't finished with us. He managed to stick his spanner in the works in whatever we got involved in after that. Because
around this time, you attracted the interest of none other than Chris Blackwell.
That's right.
The founder and owner of Island Records.
Yeah. Yep.
How did you come to sort of cross his path?
I personally don't know. I mean, it was probably through Graham and Mick, who were the oldest in the band. They always used to go out and do the business in those days, you know. And we'd just sit at home smoking dope, and then they'd arrive home at the end and tell us who they'd bumped into and chatted up, you know.
Okay, and with Chris Blackwell, you recorded a track called I Keep Singing That Same Old Song.
Yeah.
Under the name of Heavy Jelly.
Yeah, that's right.
And this was a track on the Island Sampler album, which was very popular at the time, the second Island Sampler, Nice Enough to Eat.
Yeah. Yeah, very popular album.
You wrote that track, did you?
Yes.
And it's over 7 minutes long.
It is. It was, at the time, I think it was the longest one.
And it was released as a single even at 7 minutes.
It was released as a single here and in several countries in Europe.
That's adventurous, to say the least.
It charted in quite a few countries in Europe, as far as I'm aware.
So you might have become an island group, but for Don Arden finding out about your new name and identity.
Yeah.
So he kind of put the mockers on it, really, did he?
Well, he did, yeah. He scared them off. And, of course, it didn't help that people like Chris Welch and the Melody Maker reviewed it and said, well, this album skips and biffs along. And, you know, I mean, it soon became known that it was us, you know.
Okay, well, we're going to hear that now. I Keep Singing That Same Old Song. Written by Colin Gibson and performed by Heavy Jelly,
a.k.a. Skip Biffity.
Okay.
Looking back, the days gone by, feelings that I hide. Losing track, the things I did, the things I could have tried. If I look for something new, forget the nights I've cried. Something lost years ago inside me, something died. Oh, must I keep remembering? It's time I close the door. for the non-existent land. There's a place where my old face lies buried in the sand. Oh, must I keep remembering? It's time I close the door, yeah. One road is burning, embering. It hurts me more and more. I keep singing that same old song. You keep us singing it too. I keep singing that same old song. Singing it for you, yes. I keep singing that same old song. You keep singing it too, yeah. I keep singing that same old song. Singing a different view, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that was I Keep Singing the Same Old Song by Heavy Jelly. Following the end of Skip Bifty, then you teamed up with Kenny Craddock in a group called Griffin. Who else was in that band?
Well, it was Kenny, Pete Kirtley, who I hadn't met before that, who was a fabulous guitarist and still is. Alan White, who of course later joined Yes, and then famously John Lennon. And it was originally a 4-piece, but it was later augmented with Graham Bell from Skip Biffity, so we became a 5-piece.
Right. And you released a single, I Am the Noise in Your Head.
That's right, with Bell Records.
Okay, so we're going to hear that now. I Am the Noise in Your Head by Griffin.
Now instead of them, sitting alone by the window. Nothing it seems is ever quite the way it was, and consequently quite disturbing. Why do you know my name? I'm the madman, but they call it insane. Sad man, they call it sane. And opening the door, leading to a life I had forgotten. No one tries to help me, they just look the other way and whisper softly, such a shame. When I'm walking down the street, please don't scream. Thought I had the answer, but it's all forgotten now. Pretending to be just another person. Sunken reflection of the man I was before. Louder and louder in your head. Why do you know my name? I'm the madman, they call it insane. Sad man, they call it insane.
That was I Am the Noise in Your Head by Griffin. And you teamed up there with Kenny Craddock, and you both worked together next in Ginger Baker's Airforce. What a prime job. How did you come to get into that situation?
Yeah, we were all living in a house in Hendon. This was post-Griffin. Griffin had kind of dissipated. Don Arden once again threw a spanner in the works, and we were sort of, between bands, as they say. And we were all doing sessions at the time. And Kenny got a couple of interesting sessions, and then he got invited. Oh, Alan White had previously been in Air Force, and he managed to get Kenny into the band. And after he'd left, oddly enough, and this was Air Force Mark II. So that continued along there. I think Rick Grech was playing bass with them, and then he left for one reason or another. And Kenny suggested me to them, and I went for an audition and got the gig. You know.
Can you remember much about the audition?
Yeah, I can remember it. It was quite scary. I was introduced to Phil Seaman.
At your audition?
Yes.
What happened there?
Ginger just said, "This is my mate, Phil," and Phil just sort of looked at me, and he pulled a massive bit of dope out of his mouth, and he said, "Look at that," and he just stuck it back in his mouth and started chewing it. And that was my introduction to Phil.
Yeah, number one character, Phil Seaman.
Yeah,
amazing drummer. He's still an amazing drummer. One of the best ever to come out of this country.
Yeah. Well, he was Ginger's mentor, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. And Ginger Baker credits Phil Seaman with turning him onto African rhythms. Was playing with Ginger Baker's Airforce your introduction to deeper African rhythms, or was it something you'd already become interested in?
Well, I was definitely interested in it because with Griffin, we were all into all sorts of different stuff, you know. Well, and Skip Piffy too, you know, jazz, Frank Zappa, anything really, and the more ethnic stuff started to come out. And I remember a big influence on Griffin was Dr. John the Night Tripper. You know the one? Mm-hmm. I think, is it called Gree?
That's right.
Yeah, and of course that's got all New Orleans, heavy New Orleans stuff, voodoo style. And so already into that kind of, you know, it's heavily African influence, of course. So already into that kind of style. So it wasn't difficult really to ease into Ginger's stuff.
Okay, and you and Kenny both appeared on Air Force's second album, Air Force 2, which I bought on its release. And we're going to hear a track from that now called Let Me Ride.
Slow down your chariot, let me ride.
was Let Me Ride by Ginger Baker's Airforce. Another recording you've got here is of you playing when Ginger Baker did a drum duet with Elvin Jones.
Yeah, it was called a drum battle. It was all drummed up, if you'll forgive the pun, by publicists, and they both, we played at the Rainbow, I think it was.
Okay.
And does it tell you on here? No, it doesn't. But anyway, wherever it was, one of those places. And it was publicised as a drum battle, like who's the best, But of course they were grip friends. It wasn't anything like that at all. But they sort of beefed it up as some kind of grudge match. If you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So we Air Force just did a regular gig, and then Elvin came in. Kit was already set up, and then they both sat down. I was lucky enough to be standing between them playing bass.
Do you have a view of the two drummers in comparison?
Completely different, really. Both fantastic. I was already a huge fan of Elvin Jones, just from Coltrane and everything else, I mean, he's just, Elvin's just fantastic. Probably the best symbolist I know.
There's the Ginger Baker's coming for a lot of stick recently, but there are some videos of you and Kenny playing with Airforce on YouTube, and he doesn't look too bad actually.
It wasn't. It was. He never gave me or Kenny any kind of jip at all. He was quite sort of fatherly, really, because remember we were only 20 when we joined Air Force, so we were the real babies in the band, and he was nothing but nice, I have to say.
Who was the percussionist in that lineup?
Speedy Akwai.
Oh yeah, did he also play with Traffic?
I think he did, yeah.
He went on to play with Traffic, that's right.
And there were a couple of other percussionists that passed through as well, whose names escape me at the moment.
And had you played with an African percussionist before Air Force?
Yes. I think I'd done sessions with Speedy, actually, because I was doing a lot of sessions, before that. So there were only 2 or 3 percussionists in London doing sessions, and they were mostly African. I'm just trying to think who else. Slipped my mind at the moment.
Okay, no worries. Well, let's just hear a short part of the drum battle between Ginger Baker and Elvin Jones with Colin Gibson on bass. Okay, so that was a drum battle between Ginger Baker and Elvin Jones with Colin Gibson on bass. By the time you got to play with Ginger, what bass guitar were you playing?
I was playing a fretless Fender Mustang, which was I was still playing a medium scale bass then, because I actually didn't think my fingers were long enough to play a precision. But I transitioned to, oh God, I hate using that as a verb. I changed to a precision later on because that's the bass for me. But at the time I was playing a Fender. What did I say? Mustang.
Mustang, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a great session bass as well. It was great for sessions. It was a compact, it was very tight, which is what the producers wanted,
A fretless on sessions.
Yeah.
Righto, okay. On those Ginger Baker YouTube videos, I think you're playing it through an orange amp, are you?
An orange cabinet, yeah.
An orange cabinet.
And a Fender top. Fender Bassman top.
And was that your preferred configuration then?
Yeah, it was one that I ended up with. I mean, when I was playing with other bands, I mean, I did tours with the movies where I was using an Ampeg setup, with two massive great 8x10 cabinets. And I've used all sorts of gear really, but just trolling about, that was a good one. It was not too big, good sound.
Airforce was quite a large band and probably quite expensive to keep on the road. I've read Ginger Baker's book, and I think that's the reason he gives for it sort of coming to an end.
Yeah.
And following that, you spent a period of time doing a whole load of sessions with a lot of well-known people.
Yeah.
How did you come to break into that area of session work?
Well, I was one of the reasons that Airforce broke up was because Kenny and I and the horn section all left to form a band with Alan White, which was it was called Simpson's Pure Oxygen, and we moved up to Suffolk. We rented Manfred Mann's cottage up there, which is very nice, and we just basically played all the time. We just had the gear set up and we just basically played all the time. But all of those guys were all session guys. I mean, by that I mean they were horn players. They were really good horn players, so they were in demand, And kind of through them, I got into sessions as well.
Okay.
That goes all the way back to Griffin because they were friends of ours then,
So you played on Alan White's solo album, Ramshackled.
Yeah.
And I think at that time, Yes were on a bit of a sojourn and they'd all agreed to make solo albums,
Yeah.
and you played on Steve Howe's as well.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Okay. Who else did you work with about that time?
A guy called Mickey Jupp.
Oh, yeah. Stiff artist.
Sorry?
A stiff artist, wasn't he?
Yes, I think he was eventually. Yeah, he wasn't then, of course.
Oh, a bit early for that.
Yeah, and I did. Who else? Well, Shirley Bassey, Stefan Grossman. But I mean, I actually from that album, Stefan Grossman was managed by the producer of The Doors. I can't remember his name now. You can look it up. But he called me up shortly after that and offered me a gig with The Doors.
No, you're kidding me.
I'm not. This is after Jim Morrison had died,
Ah, I see.
And I just thought, oh, this is going to be terrible. It's going to be like being in Elvis's band without Elvis, So I just turned it down. I just turned it down flat, But of course, I could have made a fucking fortune.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll never know. But okay, so you played on a few songs for Shirley Bassey.
Yeah.
Including her cover of the George Harrison song,
yeah.
Something.
Yeah, which
Right.
was a single, I think.
And it starts off featuring your bass pretty much, doesn't it?
You know,
You've not heard it for a while?
No, I haven't.
Well, we can hear it now.
Yeah, okay.
Here's Shirley Bassey's Something with Colin Gibson on bass.
Go on, Shell.
Something in the way he moves attracts me like no other lover. Something in the way he woos me. I don't want to leave him now. You know I believe in how somewhere in his smile he knows that I don't need no other lover. Something in his style that shows me I don't want to leave him now. You know I believe in You're asking me, will our love grow? I don't know. You stick around, now it may show. I don't know. Something in the way he moves, and all I have to do is think of him. Something in the things he shows me. I don't want to leave him now. You know I believe in love. You're asking me, will our love grow? I don't know. You stick around, now it may show. I don't know. Something in the way he moves. Something in the way he knows. Something in the way he smiles. Something in the way he moves. Something in the way he smiles.
Okay, so that's Something by Shirley Bassey. One session that Colin Gibson played on. Another album that you were quite involved with was that by Alan Hull called Pipe Dream. Often I've read, cited as a classic album.
Oh, it is. It's a fantastic album. And that band was a great assembled band. It's a shame it never became a band,
Who was in it?
Kenny, Johnny Turnbull, now the Blockheads, the original Lindisfarne drummer, and who else? And the Lindisfarne singer. That's pretty much it, really.
And you'd known Alan Hull for quite a long time, since your early days.
Oh yeah, I knew him since I was 15. When he was in the Chosen Few, I was a big fan of the Chosen Few way before I joined them. They were a great band,
And he went on to form or found Lindisfarne.
That's right, yeah. who were also a great band. When the original Lindisfarne were a tremendous band.
Were you still up north when he formed Lindisfarne, or would you?
No,
The
the only time I spent in Newcastle after I left it in 1967 with Skip Biffity. The only time I ever went back was for a very short period after Skip Biffity broke up, and that's pretty much it. I was back down to London after that.
We're going to play a track from Alan Hull's Pipe Dream called Breakfast.
In the morning you rise, night is still in your eyes, moving warm with content, the memory of your body's scent. I watch you striptease in reverse, dip my hand in your purse, smiling softly you say that I could not get much worse. Then scream, the cats are making steam, minding you and me. Need a cup of tea, intimate breakfast scene, sausage, egg and beans, Winnipeg jam, lightning real brown hand, talking gently and low. I ask you why you must go. Having asked it, I know. Instead of yes, you'll answer no. Oh, no, got to go back home. My time is all alone. Don't ring me on the phone. My husband will be there. Really isn't fair. He still believes in trust. Got to catch my bird. Looking through the window pane, watch her leaving me again, wondering what's in her head. I slowly sink back to bed, and I feel so empty that I must eat.
Right, that was Breakfast from Alan Hull's Pipe Dream album. And we already mentioned you played on Alan White's solo album, but that was kind of the band that you, another previous lineup that you were familiar with already, wasn't it?
It was basically the guys that we left Airforce to form a band with Alan White, which I mentioned earlier. It was basically that band.
Did you write any songs for this album?
Yeah, about half of them. I mean, Kenny and I wrote half of them, and Pete Kirtley, I think, wrote 3 or 4 of them.
And did he go back to play with Yes shortly after the?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, because they went on for a number of years.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to hear a track now from Alan White's solo album, Ramshackled. And which track should we play, Colin?
I think One Way Rag, with Kenny on vocals. It's nice.
Kenny singing on it? Great,
Yeah.
okay. One Way Rag by Alan White.
Who's that alley cat? Scratching in the trash can. Come on, get your feet up the bed. Everyone's going to a one-way ride. Yeah. Papa, put your shoes on. Can dance with the blues on. No. Come on, get yourself in drag. Everyone's going to a one-way ride. Two ways about it. You don't have to shout and scream about it. Ain't no listen to the neighbors. Gonna get in the car, step on the gas. Ain't no fastbacks gonna get past me. To a one-way ride. Two ways about it. You don't have to shout or scream about it. Ain't no listen to the neighbors. You're gonna get in the car, step on the gas. Ain't no fastbacks gonna get past me. To a one-way ride. Leave the one-way clown. Turn your face upside down. Get out of that lonesome bag. Everyone's gone through the one-way ride. Yeah. The one-way
That was One Way Rag by Alan White. Shortly after that, you played with Mark Almond, who I remember, first I heard them was when they teamed up with John Mayall.
Yeah.
And I think I saw them at the Bath Festival. Otherwise, I didn't know very much about them at all.
Yeah, John Mark and Johnny Armand.
Where did they come from?
Where did they come from?
Not geographically, but how did they suddenly appear?
I don't know. The only history I had of them was that they were in John Mayall's band.
Right, okay. And how did you come by the job?
Again, it was through Kenny. I can't remember how Kenny got involved. Somebody else just asked him. You know, I mean, all of the musicians kind of knew each other. So when there was any vacancies, you know, you'd get to know. And and Kenny joined them, and then I think the bass player left, and Kenny suggested me.
You did a long US tour with Mark Almond.
Yeah, 3 months.
And they had the benefit of a highly regarded drummer.
Yes, they did. Yeah, Danny Richmond. Yeah, who was Charlie Mingus's drummer.
Charlie Mingus's drummer.
Yeah.
What happened at the audition?
well, apart from me, you know, so I just turned up, and the person in charge of auditioning me was obviously Danny. You know, they just said, Danny, it's your choice. You do the thing. So we were just in a recording studio, and I just turned up and plugged in, and he just said, play a 5. So I had to play a 5, and then that went all right. And we did a bit more, and then we just we recorded a track, and then we all just listened back to it in the control room, and he just said, yeah, you know, you got the job. So it was it was nice. It was thrilling.
You have played with some top drummers.
I absolutely have. I mean, I've just played with a succession of fantastic drummers.
And we haven't finished yet. So who was the tour supporting?
Joe Cocker.
Joe Cocker, right. He was a big name in the States by this time through the Woodstock film.
Hugely, yeah, and it was the tour after the tour called Mad Dogs and Englishmen.
Right, okay.
Which was enormous. So yeah, he had a big name on that. So there were big venues with big crowds, you know.
Was this the first time that you'd been to the States?
It was, yeah.
How was that? How did you find that?
Well, I mean, it was the lap of luxury, you know. I mean, it was. We were all on a private plane and staying in all the best hotels, and every time we got off a plane, there was a fleet of limos, you know, and it was just like that all the way. It was like a top class tour, you know.
What bass were you playing by this time?
Yeah, it's a good question. What was I playing then? I was still on the Fender
Mustang.
Mustang, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Fretless Fender Mustang.
Yeah.
And do we have any recordings of Mark Almond?
Yes, there was an album. We made an album called, I think it's called Rising. Okay,
well, let's hear a track from that. Which track do you think?
I can't remember any of the titles.
Okay.
I'll have to Google it.
We'll tell you what track it was later on.
Okay.
All right.
I arrived just the other day. Joy to see you smiling in your friendly way. And although I've had a good time, I'll have to say goodbye, for I'll be leaving soon. I'll be leaving soon. The time has passed, it simply slipped away. And although I've got to go, you know I'd really like to stay. Riding on the highway, I'll soon be back again, but I'll be leaving soon. I'll be leaving soon. By this time tomorrow, I'll be on my way again.
ask me back again. Time will come when I will see you, but who knows when. This busy world we live in allows us little time for I'll believe in soon. I'll believe in soon. I believe in soon. I'll believe in soon. By this time tomorrow I'll be on my way again.
That was I'll Be Leaving Soon by the Mark Allman Band. And you say you wrote that along with Kenny?
Yeah.
Kenny singing it?
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten it was even on there. So there you go.
Oh, maybe there's some royalties coming in there somewhere around.
Well, that would be a novel thing.
if anyone's buying it. US tour must have been a great experience for you.
It was an eye-opener, yeah. Especially with Danny Richmond, you know, because, I mean, it was like just a US history lesson, you know, all the time. Used to hang out with him a lot.
Right.
And I used to tell it like it is.
What a great way to tour with somebody to sort of guide you that way.
Yeah, and we got all the stories about, you know, what's the great Mexican album that Charlie Mingus did? Tijuana Nights.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because they famously just went down there and just got completely out of it for like 2 weeks and made the album, you know. And it's just, you know, just hearing all the stories is just amazing, absolutely phenomenal.
Okay, back in the UK, wasn't long before you formed a new band with some new people, in fact, called Snafu.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I just got itchy feet as soon as I got back. I was still living in Suffolk, near Aldborough. And just getting back from the States after 3 months in the States and into sleepy Aldborough was just, I had to get out, you know.
No McDonald's there.
Yeah, so yeah, moved down to London and sofa surfed at Mick Gallagher's, so we, you know, it all goes through. All these names go through, and yeah, and just sort of, you know.
You also had Mickey Moody in Snafu.
Mickey Moody's in Snafu, yeah, and Pete Solly, great players.
And you made 4 albums with Snafu, did you?
Was it 4? Let's see, Snafu.
I know I bought All Funked Up.
Yeah.
Which I think was the 3rd.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there was one after that, actually. I think it's maybe only 3.
Oh, okay. So, did you do a lot of touring with Snafu? Because it must have been
A
going
load,
for a couple
yeah.
of years, was it going?
A hell of a lot. Yeah, I was going for about 5 years.
Well, really, that long?
Mm-hmm.
And how far did you travel with them?
We went to the States. We went all over Europe. That's it, really.
Well, there wasn't really anywhere else to go, was there?
Not really. I mean, we didn't go to Africa or New Zealand, you know.
No,
but,
okay.
But yeah, we gigged a hell of a lot. It was a very tight, very good band.
We're going to hear a track now from All Funked Up. It's called Lock and Key. Right, that was Lock and Key from All Funked Up by Snafu. Next band was a name I'm afraid I'm not familiar with, called The Movies.
Yes.
Although, again, you toured the States with them. Did you?
No, I didn't actually tour the States, but we spent 4 months in the States recording an album at RCA in New York. So, yeah, I lived in New York, virtually in Times Square for 4 months.
Can you remember what studio you recorded at?
RCA Studios, yeah. On
RCA?
yeah, it's just round the corner. We were on 44th and 8th. I think they were on 7th Avenue.
And
Yeah.
what were the movies about? What kind of style? Are you still in the sort of funk thing? Because
Yeah,
punk is underway by then,
there's
isn't
a bit
it?
of that. There's a bit of this, a bit of that. They were Steely Dan influenced, Little Feet. It was a nice mixture. And John Cole, who wrote all the songs, was a terrific songwriter.
And after the movies, you branched out a little bit into television work. You actually wrote a TV series. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I wrote it with my old friend Pete Richards, who co-wrote most of the comic strips adventures. It was Pete Richardson, and he just called me up one day and said, "Do you want to do some writing?" Because he knew I could be funny. So he just got an offer to do a series from Bob Spears, who's the guy who directed most of the comic strips, and also Dad's Army and Absolutely Fabulous and Faulty Towers.
What was the series called?
It was called Little Armadillos, and so we managed to swing that and got offered the whole series, and that was a big slice. That was about a 9 month period, I think.
On what channel was that on?
It was on Channel 4 in the very early days of Channel 4.
Early days of Channel 4.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. After that, you moved to the south coast, to where we are now in Hastings.
Yeah, and the reason for that is, in Little Armadillos, I managed to swing it so that Kenny and I wrote all the music, because the series incorporated a lot of short songs, like 3 every episode. So we had to write like about 21 songs for the series. But we were pretty good at it by then. And also incidental music for it. And that after that series finished, we got offered just music gigs. In other words, doing music for long series and films. So that's when I moved to Hastings, because Kenny had already moved down here. He was the MD for Van Morrison. So he'd moved down here, bought a house. So we decided just to set a studio up down here and do all our film stuff from our own studio.
He actually had the studio.
No, we set it up together.
Oh, you set it up together?
Well, we got a massive advance for this Howard Schumann series called Upline, and we could afford to just basically set a studio up in Kenny's basement.
I remember about 30 years ago you giving me my first lesson in Cubase.
Yes.
Which opened a whole new world for me. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So was that what you were using when you started recording?
No, strictly tape. That was in its real infancy then. So we just had 16-track tape machine,
2-inch or
big
1
desk,
inch?
1 inch, big desk, usual thing, and mics and so on. So we were just able to just record all of our film stuff down there, save a hell of a lot of money and time.
Sure. And were you already in the habit of recording yourself at home or recording songs at home?
Yeah.
What had you used before you got the 16-track?
I at home was using first of all a Commodore 64, if you can believe that.
I had a Commodore 64.
With a 12-track Steinberg plug-in thing.
Oh, yes.
Which was really stable and good. And that was 12 tracks. And then I got an Atari and I was able to. I think it went up to about 16 tracks then. It was still just called Steinberg.
Right.
And
The advantage of the Atari was that it had a MIDI in outputs,
Exactly.
didn't it?
yeah, and a bigger capacity, of course, than the Commodore 64, which is unbelievable as it sounds. 64K was its memory. I mean, you can barely even make a file of 64K these days.
It's unthinkable, yeah.
Yeah. So there was that, and then progressed on to a Mac after that, and then Cubase, and then eventually changed over to Logic, which we're recording on now.
So the first time I saw you play in Hastings was with Trevor Watt's Moire Drum Orchestra with Liam Genicky on drums, and you and Liam became the number one rhythm section, certainly down here anyway, and you've been working with him for many years. He's a fantastic drummer.
Yeah.
He used to play with Steel Eye Span for many years, didn't he?
Oh, he plays with them now.
He's still touring with them now.
Yeah.
When did you first know Liam?
When again through Kenny, when I was living in London, looking for a gig, as everyone was. Kenny said, "Well, why don't you come and play with the Zodiacs? Great band." And that's how I met up with Liam. He was the drummer. And then we subsequently played quite a few gigs. We were very popular in Hastings, actually. We played quite often at the Pig in Paradise in Hastings. And a terrific band,
Now you're in Hastings and you hook up with Trevor Watts, the saxophone player, who's very much in a kind of jazz.
Yes, he's free jazz, yeah.
But with the drum orchestra.
Well, I should correct you there. I first started playing with him just with moire music, which is a different thing from the drum orchestra. Moire music was very highly structured music and arranged,
What would be the lineup there? Just sax, bass, and drums.
Moire music. No, it was up to a 14-piece.
14-piece. Right.
And the drum orchestra was an offshoot of that, which was improvised, and it was just 4 Ghanaian drummers, myself, Liam, and Trevor on saxophone. And that was it. And
the drummers including the wonderful Nana Siboy, who's much missed now in Hastings.
Yeah, very much.
He's a fantastic, wonderful gentleman.
Yes.
And a great player, and I was blown away when I saw that. Just all that African drumming going on. It was really great.
It's fantastic. I mean, they were a dance band, really. It was irresistible. You couldn't keep still if you were.
Everybody on the feet, yeah.
And I went around the world with them, and it was the same everywhere. I don't remember any single gig that didn't go down like a riot. At the end. They were just enjoyable, irresistible.
Then with Liam Genicky,
He'll be very displeased that you pronounce it like that.
I beg your pardon?
It's Liam Ginocchi.
Ginocchi. He's not from Newcastle either.
He's not from Newcastle.
Ginocchi.
Yes.
So with Liam, which I'll call him from now on, and Roger Hubbard, you formed a new band, a 3-piece called Buick 6.
Yeah.
Who were very much steeped in the blues.
Delta blues, yeah. Yeah, because Roger's probably in the country, probably very close to number one player of that style,
You managed to get quite a bit of work in Europe with Buick 6, didn't you?
Got a lot of work in Europe, yeah.
Playing some big festivals. I saw
we were very popular.
Were you playing with Lenny Greveux at some stage or other?
I mean, we did loads and loads of big blues festivals in Europe. We had a German record company, and they got us loads of those kind of gigs.
So it's much easier to be able to travel to Europe to do
Absolutely.
gigs than it is now.
Yeah, once after a three-piece, it begins to multiply. What's the word? You know, it feels like it's
logistics.
more than doubling. You know, it's it just everything gets much more difficult.
Right.
The three-piece. I mean, we could share a room. We could travel in one car. There was very little equipment. You know, it's a perfect touring setup, really.
We're going to hear a track from Buick 6 now. Favourite of mine by Mississippi Fred McDowell called Write Me a Few Lines, and this is a live version. Do you remember where this was recorded?
Yeah, it's live at the Telegraph pub, which is on Putney Heath somewhere.
Okay, Write Me a Few Lines by Buick 6.
When you get home, baby, write me through your lines. When you get home, baby, write me through your lines. It'll be some consolation to my worried mind.
That was Write Me a Few of Your Lines live by Buick 6. Were you still playing the Mustang bass by this time, or had you...
No, I'd progressed by then, and I discovered that I could play a Fender Precision, which I just completely fell in love with, because it's the only bass for me.
Did you find it difficult to switch to the extra length?
Nope, not a bit. I'd convinced myself that I would, but it was silly, really. I didn't have any difficulty at all with it.
Felt natural to you?
Absolutely, yeah.
And what amp are you using? Have you still got an orange cab then?
Yep, still got an orange cab.
And the top?
Still a Fender Bassman.
Okay. What size were the speakers in the orange cab?
There were 2 12s, I think. Yeah, 2 12s.
2 12s, that's what I saw you, the first time I saw you playing, I think.
Yeah.
You started recording your own songs by this time. Gear had moved on a bit, and presumably you're using Cubase at home.
At that point I was, yeah.
On a Mac, I think you've always preferred Macs, haven't you?
Always, yeah.
Yeah. And did you have sufficient computer power to be able to record a lot of audio, or?
Yeah. It worked really well. Yeah.
You teamed up with Jack Pound
Yeah.
as a songwriter
Yeah.
to record. What's the title of your first CD?
It's called Domestic Bliss.
Domestic Bliss. How long did it take you to record that?
Well, it's a long story because I was friends with Jack, and Jack had recorded quite a few of his songs in Kenny and I's studio when we have a studio down here. And I just sent him a load of instrumentals that I'd been working on, and he really liked them. And he's also a builder, you know, and he used to play them on the building sites, and he was just getting this great reaction. People were going, "What's that?" You know. And so from a good proportion of those tracks, we collaborated, and he did lyrics for them. Him and his lyric partner Clive Gardner, and we just went ahead and recorded them, and it was great. You know, it was a really good combination, and quite odd for me because normally I've been a lyricist, you know, as well in songwriting, and in this case it was completely reversed, you know, which was very interesting for me.
Excellent. Okay, so we're going to hear now a track from Domestic Bliss called Poison People.
Yeah.
Poison people, people poison, gonna mess upon your scene. It's danger, danger from people poison. Man, their spirit is so mean. They got sleaze, disease, knock knees, and scandalese. You take the psyche and they grind it down. Slap a mask on my face when I come around. Slash the muscles that make me strong. Force the drug up my nose where it does not belong. Those poison people are the pits. Deep down, they're so shallow. Bullshit brains, they're straight and narrow. You met 'em. Don't let 'em fuck with your head. They like to see you bled or blind your eyes with their brainless lies. high road. If people get to bite you, there's no antidote. Poison people drag you down, down, down. Poison people, poison people, gonna mess upon your scene. People poison, man, their spirit is so mean.
That was Poison People from the CD Domestic Bliss by Guano Pound Hammer, featuring Colin Gibson, of course.
And Jack Pound.
Not long after that, you formed a new band with Steve Rivington, a singer-songwriter, called Pass the Cat.
Yeah, well, I didn't form the Pass the Cat. I'd been a fan of Pass the Cat for a few years before.
Oh, they were
that.
already going with it?
They were already going. They'd been going for a long time before that, actually. As there was just Steve, twin girls backing vocals and percussion. That was it. That was the band, and they were just tremendous. They sounded like Talking Heads, you know, just the three of them.
Do you remember who was playing percussion?
No, I don't.
It wasn't Nana at that time.
No.
But when you joined, the lineup then became with Nana Siboe on percussion,
Yeah.
and the wonderful Jack Peach on drums.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about Jack Peach.
Well, Jack Peach, God, I don't know where to start, really. I mean, he's a phenomenon. He was a professional session player in the 50s.
He was a fixer as well, wasn't
And
he?
he was a fixer too. And he's just spent all his time just going from one session to another. And he told me that in that 10-year period, he said he was pissed for 10 years.
Just to clarify, a fixer is somebody who books other musicians for
Yes.
recording studios.
That's right.
As a function for the producer. So
Yeah, actually, it was a musicians' union law then that a fixer had to book the musicians for sessions. I was a fixer myself.
was you?
Yeah, because we had to book when Kenny and I were doing film and TV music. We had to book musicians all the time, and we had to. Union law was that I had to become a fixer in order to book them. It was easy, you know. I just applied to be a fixer, but
You had to apply to do it,
yeah.
like
I mean,
get
you
a
know,
license.
there used to be a strong union, you know.
Yes, yeah. Jack Peach. I was fortunate to have some drum lessons from him for a couple of years, and he completely straightened me out. He's a wonderful technician, a wonderful player. The list of people and sessions he played with is just
ridiculous.
Defies reckoning. He played the drums on the Saint, the Prisoner, Randall and
Yeah.
Hawkirk, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the Guns of Navarone.
Yeah,
He
the
took-
Avengers.
The Avengers. I did.
The Avengers.
Oh right, I sort of
Yeah.
see that now. I'll have to listen out for that.
Yeah,
And
he was a terrific drummer, as you know.
he certainly was, and he was still playing until his very, very sad death at the age of 79.
That's right.
But you had started to record an album with him,
Yes.
which you titled Peach. Unfortunately, was you were part through the album when he passed away, but you managed to use the recordings that he'd made to finish it off.
Yeah.
But we're going to hear a track now from Pastor Cat's album Peach called Chaos with the wonderful Jack Peach on drums.
Aye.
Chaos is the new world. Chaos. 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 Instead of being linear, time is responsive to expression and will form itself depending upon the reaction of one person to another. Chaos. Sometimes this may bring into existence a new life form. This we shall name the concept of stretching the mouth whilst shaking the body. Chaos. Everybody's confused. Chaos. Chaos. Everybody's confused. Chaos. Good job. Take it to the bridge. Order. 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 Order came the word. We stood line in line, atom, and stone. Order could be heard, mathematical note. You could watch it grow. Order. Yes, I understand why I fall and yet birds don't. Order. Turn down the gravity. I wanna fly. It's not insanity. Or is it? 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 Chaos. Everybody's confused. Chaos. Chaos. Everybody's confused. Chaos. 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 Order. 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 Order came the word. We stood line in line, atom, and stone. Order could be heard, mathematical note. You could watch it grow. Order. Yes, I understand why I fall, and yet birds don't. Order, turn down the gravity. I wanna fly, I wanna fly, I wanna fly, I wanna fly, I wanna fly. It's not insanity, or is it? Is it? Or is it? Or is it? Or is it? Chaos. Everybody's confused. Chaos. Chaos. Everybody's confused. Chaos. 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 Chaos.
You've branched out recently as well into many different areas of art and media.
Yeah.
You're currently producing an online magazine called Sausage Life.
Well, it's not actually. This is the development of a column that I used to write for a magazine called Music Files, which I think you know quite well, Phil.
Indeed, Music Files, yes, happy memories.
Yes, and you were the editor, and I did that for a while, and then a few years later, I got involved with the Hastings Independent, which is a new local paper that started in Hastings, and I was given a column to do every fortnight, which I called Sausage Life. But it was basically just pretty much like the one that I used to do for you. And that continued for about 3 years until I left the paper. And then I was asked to write the same thing for International Times, which is a paper that's been going since
The
60s.
International Times from the 60s,
Yes.
the actual...
Yes.
Okay.
So it's now totally an online thing, but so Sausage Life has been appearing in that for the last 2.5 years, I think, maybe 3.
And how would you describe Sausage Life?
It's a column that's meant to make you laugh. It talks about things which don't actually exist but sound like they do. And it's actually in the tradition of English columns, funny columns, going back a long way to Beachcomber and Flann O'Brien when he wrote for the Irish Times. They go back to the 50s. It's a very, very English tradition, a kind of nonsense column really. And that's basically all it is.
Also, over the last few years, you've been doing something quite different with a couple of colleagues, which has reached a lot of people in Hastings, called the Trash Cans Film Festival, which is, as it says, a film festival, and you have to make a short film conforming to a category, a title and a prop, which lasts under 3 minutes. How did that come to start?
Well, the original thing was it was just me and Emmett Ives who entered. There was a competition called the Hastings 5-Day Film Challenge, which is what you just described, where you have to write, shoot and edit a short film in 5 days, and it's a competition. And Emmett and I decided to enter it, and were competitors in it for about 5 years. And then the organisers changed, and it got a bit messed up, and so Emmett and I kind of took it over and started doing it every year. And we did a couple of years just on our own doing it, but then we went under the umbrella of Trash Can, which is another film organisation in Hastings. So it's now called the Trash Can 5-Day Film Challenge, and yeah, it happens every year. The next one's this April.
Yep, there's a new one coming up, and I'm looking looking forward to that very much indeed.
Yeah. It's great fun, you know, and you're just surprised by people's ingenuity. Really, it's fantastic.
But is it right that you can't actually enter it yourself now?
No, we always make a film, but as organisers of it, it's not really. You can't really enter your own competition.
No, it might be frowned upon a little bit.
It would.
That's great though, the Trash Can Film Festival. And musically, you've been working with an act called Girl Bites Dog, and
Yes.
you've released an EP.
Yes, it's my girlfriend Alice's band. Yeah, and so I was basically just producing some tracks for her EP, and we wrote one as well, and just produced it here and put it out. It's available on Spotify and all the other rip-off places.
Available through all major streaming platforms.
All major rip-off platforms, yes.
Okay, we're gonna play a track now called "Pass the Cream" from Girl Bites Dog.
Je te choisirai dans chaque vie.
Ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la. If we were cats and had 9 lives, you'd always be the love of mine. I'd catch a bird and make it sing for you. Leave little notes across the floor. And when everyone is sleeping, every night you'll make my day. Meow, meow, meow. You lie on a dream. Ooh, I'm more than curious. I'm the cat who got the cream. I'll chase your tail if you chase mine. I'll wash your face until it shines. Oh, and if you ever disappear, I'll nail your picture to a tree. And when everyone is sleeping, every night you'll make my day. Meow, meow, meow. Never quite been so loud. We'll start a family. Hope all our kittens will be housed. Ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la.
Right, that was "Pass the Cream" by Girl Bites Dog. Unfortunately, I'm very much looking forward to a gig that we're doing on the 2nd March at the Jenny Lind with the Iron Men of the Sea, led by the wonderful Alan King and featuring the majestic and beautiful Hannah Mayagi on violin. Could you talk a little bit about the music? What do you think the music's about there?
Well, I mean, you've done a few yourself, Phil. I mean, we're all still trying to figure
I
that
know-
one out.
I know, I know that they're very long pieces that
Yes.
that travel far and wide.
They go to many places, and then somehow they stop. Almost all of us stop at once. We don't know how that happens. You know, sometimes it doesn't.
But not necessarily.
Yes.
Also, you're playing with Pass the Cat.
Still playing with Pass the Cat, yeah, and still enjoying it. It's generally just a trio now with Steve, myself, and Liam Janocki. But yeah, I've got a gig with them in a couple of weeks.
So, Colin, thanks very much for your time today and doing the engineering
My pleasure.
on this this edition for the Welsh Connection. You've a fascinating and wonderful career, and I feel very privileged to be able to work with you and also to hear about all of your experiences. And long may they continue.
Thank you very much, Phil. It was absolutely my pleasure.